Hello there. My name is Dr. Smiley. Needless to say, I'm not your usual doctor. Unlike the doctors in the present-day hospitals who try their best to cheat death, I, on the other hand, welcome death and help my patients to embrace it. Why, just the other day I found a young lady on the street. She looked like she was slowly dying of anorexia. So I gave her a smile, kissed her hand, and promised to help her. She was charmed and followed me as I led her to my office, a small building on the outskirts of town. You've probably seen it before. The one with the shutters that are just hanging by a small strip of wood or metal. The white paint slowly chipping off of the wall. The one with the plastic and cardboard covering the windows. The one you always assumed was empty. I call this building my home and my clinic. I help all of my patients here. After I got back to my clinic with the girl, she was quite frightened. I thought it was cute, like a little mouse. I just gave her my usual sweet smile and tugged her hand softly, easily pulling her along into my small living room. I let go of her hand and locked the door behind us. She began to panic as she noticed the bloodstains on my old couch. "Oh, don't worry. That is just where I had to perform an emergency surgery," I said, trying to hold back my small chuckle of excitement. I took her into my operation room and told her to lay on the small operation table. She laid down still, looking scared and unsure. She looked around the room at all the bottles of pills and jars of liquid that lined the walls and took notice of one of my specimens. "What is that?" she screeched as she pointed to one of the jars. I looked at the small jar under for my work. "Why, that, my dear, is a specimen from my last patient. She had a disease that caused her blood cells to die, and soon her entire body began to shut down." She gasped and sat up. She tried to make a run for it, but unfortunately for her, I had just finished filling my syringe with the bluish liquid that I used on all of my patients. I swung around, grabbing her wrist and yanking her back, stabbing the needle into her neck and injecting the liquid. "Shh. Don't be afraid. I'm here to help you," I whispered into her ear, smiling widely to show all of my sharpened teeth. She opened her mouth as if to scream, but could only manage to let out a small gasp of air. Then she fell into a deep sleep. I continued working on preparations for the surgery, slowly shining all of my tools. I laid everything on the platform next to her bed, where she sat propped up with pillows and bound with handcuffs. A soft whimper drew my attention, and I laughed. "Welcome back, sleepyhead," I said, placing the final tool on the table. She opened her eyes and started thrashing against her chains. I only hissed. Does she not realize I'm trying to help her? I picked up my scalpel and started working on her. First, I cut her open, poking around at her insides, and she bled and thrashed. I usually try to keep them alive while I'm examining them. It's funnier that way, seeing the organs try to keep working even though they are exposed to the world. After I cut open her stomach and kidney, I finally grew bored. I cut off a small piece of her womb and dropped it into a jar. "A new specimen from my collection," I thought aloud, smiling widely. She was twitching now, blood dripping from her mouth and eyes rolled into the back of her head. I giggled. I always found their last moments amusing. With that thought, I plunged my scalpel into her still beating heart. Blood oozed from the wound, and the girl went limp. I smiled wide, licking my lips. Another successful surgery.